dear friends and my dear family, what a week this has been. So this week was a free travel weekend, so our group went to Tenerife. Tenerife is technically part of Spain, but it's as if it's part of Africa because it's so close. When our group set out for Tenerife, we were expecting white sandy beaches. Well, I was expecting white sandy beaches, but sandy beaches. We were expecting to just relax, just take some time to enjoy and rejuvenate, but that's not how it went down. So on Thursday morning at 3:45, we woke up to catch the taxi at 3:55 to make it to the airport on time to get to our plane that would take us to Tenerife. I was in the very back row of the plane, and there was this woman next to me who was a stranger. She was very, very tired, so like you do on planes, we became friends and she used me as kind of a pillow. I was happy to be of assistance. We made it to Tenerife. It was full of palm trees and beautiful ocean views. We walked down the street and we were looking for a place to eat. And oh, that rhymed. That was not intentional. But some of the students stopped at a pastry, but me, Anu, Riley, Nicole, and Maddie all kept going. We found this super cool place called Hamburguesa Lily, or Lily Hamburguesa, Lily's Hamburger. Basically, it had burgers and other American food with a tropical twist. They had what looked like smoothies, but it turns out they're not smoothies. They're called batidas, and batidas are like fruit drinks, where it's like milk or water and they blend up fruit and just put it in there. It was still tasty. Then we made our way to the bus station, and that was when the beginning of the trouble started. So we get to the bus station and we inquire after what's the best, most efficient way to do buses here on the island. The lady said to get a bus pass, a card, so that you can use the money off of your card and not have to carry cash with you everywhere to pay for the bus. Which made sense. So every one of us purchased a bus card so we could carry a card with us. So we all went outside to wait for the bus that would take us to our Airbnb where we could drop off our bags. There's 9 students in our group, and so 8 of us piled onto the bus, and the bus driver went, "Stop." We said, "What's the problem?" She said, "I don't have enough room." I told her, "No, Max is part of our group, he's gotta come with us." And she was like, "No, you can't make room for just one more guy. He's a really good guy." Nope. So all of us got back off of that bus. The thing was, 6 of the students had already paid, and so they would need to get refunded, but they didn't because the bus just took off. Anyways, the next bus came a little while later, and we all got on, and the 6 that had already paid on the other bus got refunded. We made it to the Airbnb. It was a red tiled house. It was very pretty. If you don't know what an Airbnb is, it's a house that you can just rent out for several days, and it's owned by local people. Anyways, the owner of the Airbnb communicated with the group and said, "I'm not going to be there till 4, and it was 2:30. So, you know, we walked around, we found this little park. I found a palm leaf at the park and I swung it around like a flag. We took some photos, of course. So the owner of the Airbnb shows up with her young son. She let us in, she gave us the key, and she told us, "All right, see you in a few days." She left us a bowl of fruit, and in that bowl of fruit there were bananas, and Tenerife is known for its banana trees. So I tasted one of the bananas, and it was pretty good. I'm not a huge banana person, but as bananas go, it was pretty quality. You might say it was appealing. So after setting our bags down in the Airbnb, we turned around and set out again to go to the beach. The group had discovered a beach called Playa Ancon, which seemed promising. It was a local beach, the kind that the local... Pardon my French, I've never had that cha-ching, cha-ching sound on my phone before. That was weird. Anyways, sorry, that was weird. Totally blew off my train of thought, Mr. Phone. Oh yes, Playa Ancon. So we took the bus to the location that it told us to, and we got off and we started walking, but we didn't find any trail. So we were walking along roads that were meant for cars. We were walking up and down very, very steep driveways. Finally, we asked a local for some directions. The 2 men we asked carried 12-foot-long spears, and we wondered, what are those for? Well, actually, I wasn't that curious about what they were for. I was too excited thinking about the beach. He told us, look for the stone steps, and we said, yeah, that's what the website said, okay. So we walked down, and we couldn't find it still. So we turned into a cafe, and I asked for directions again from the waitress, and she gave me this look like, "You're going to Playa Ancon now?" It was like 5 o'clock by that point. She was like, "It's so far." And I was like, oh man, if she's a local and she's saying it's so far, it's gotta be far. But we weren't gonna let that stop us. So we finally located the stone steps and started down. The stone steps were built hundreds and hundreds of years ago, so of course they were crumbling and cracking and plants were growing out of them. There were little lizards sunning themselves on the rocks that would peek out every once in a while. There were wildflowers along the path. There were like white daisies, yellow flowers, purple flowers, red flowers. The hike was breathtaking, in two senses of the word. I mean, the views were incredible, but it was also taking my breath. I was like, flip-flops wasn't the smartest decision on my part. Let me tell you, my feet were sore, but the thought of the beach kept me going. You know, as sore as I was, I feel bad because Jamie actually injured her knee on the way down that hike. I gave her a bunch of flowers, but it's not the same as a first aid kit. She was able to walk it off, though. She was tough. We made it to Playa Ancon! It was a black sand beach, which I had never seen before. I've only seen beaches with yellow sand or white sand. The reason the sand is black is because it's volcanic. It's technically sedimentary, but it came from igneous rock, which is what gives it its black color. There was a cave in there that I went and explored. It was a very small cave, but it was fun. And the sunset was amazing. All in all, I'd say it was worth it. I think the happiness on the beach was more so than it would have been if it was easy to get to, which ties into my emotion theory. Gonna turn the time over to future Marie for the emotion theory. Thank you, past Marie. So, this is my emotion theory. We have positive emotions, like happy or excited, and we have negative emotions, like sad or angry. I'm going to be representing positive emotions with blue and negative emotions with red. In the middle we have purple, or neutral. Wait, how do you spell neutral? There we go, neutral emotions. I believe that the intensity of our highest positive emotions is equal to the intensity of our lowest negative emotions. It's like in math. The two waves have equal distance from the neutral middle line. So A is always equal to B. We're heading down to Playa Ancon. We were feeling a lot of negative emotions. We were frustrated. We were tired. We were sore. And we were nervous that we were getting lost, even though we were asking for directions. Once we finally reached the beach, all the tension dissipated in our group. We felt happy, we felt relieved, we felt excited about the beach, and we also felt giddy. Those emotions were intensified by the negative emotions. Imagine if we hadn't had to work as hard, we wouldn't have been able to feel as happy. There are a couple examples of this in the scriptures. In 2 Nephi 2, Lehi tells his sons that there must be opposition in all things. In Alma 24:30, the anti-Nephi Lehis are facing an army of angry Lamanites. A lot of Lamanite soldiers joined the anti-Nephi Lehis that day, but no apostate Nephites did. It says in the scriptures, "And thus we can plainly discern that after a people have been once enlightened by the Spirit of God, and have had a great knowledge of things pertaining to righteousness, and then have fallen away into sin and transgression, they become more hardened, and thus their state becomes worse than though they had never known these things." You see, the apostate Nephites had once felt the joy of the gospel, this extreme positive emotion. However, the Lamanites had not. Therefore, the hatred that the apostate Nephites had for the anti-Nephi Lehis was more intense than that of the Lamanites. The last example is Alma the Younger, describing his happiness after feeling the sorrow of guilt. He says, "And oh, what joy and what marvelous light I did behold! Yea, my soul was filled with joy as exceeding as was my pain." A equals B. So while the hike was difficult to get down to Playa Ancon, I feel like it wouldn't have been as fun or as exciting as it was if we hadn't had to go through what we did. That's my emotion theory. Back to you, Marie of the past. As we began the long hike back up, the sun was going down. We walked along the same trail we'd come down, and we were met by those two guys from earlier, this time with two more friends, each of them carrying 12-foot-long spears. The man with the white hair recognized us, and he said, "Hey, you made it to the beach." We were like, "Yeah, hey man, what's going on?" And inside we were just like, because of the hike. But on the outside we were like, "Hey, what's going on?" So we subtly began following them about 20 feet behind because we were lost and it was dark. The man with the white hair's name was Manuel. And now I would like to tell you the story from his point of view. Manuel was born on the cliffside of Tenerife. Ever since he was young, his employment consisted of shepherding sheep and goats. Banana trees, rock-dwelling lizards, and breathtaking views are all everyday occurrences for Manuel. Manuel seems pretty intimidating carrying a 12-foot-long spear around with him. His muscles hard and leathery from days working in the sun, but his piercing blue eyes are gentle and calm, like the sea. They hold a wisdom unmarred by pop culture, world gossip, and modern appliances. The 12-foot-long spear he carries, he fashioned himself out of a beech tree. He carved it, he made it smooth, and he greased it with goat grease. Any other type of wood would splinter and crackle under the daily stresses that Manuel faces. Like Manuel, the beech tree spear must be strong, flexible, and true. The spearhead is made out of metal, although anciently it was made out of goat horns. His job title is Salto de Pastor, which means jump of the shepherd, or jumping shepherd. Jumping shepherds have been around since 500 BC. He uses his spear to pole vault from one step to another. When I say step, I'm talking about like an 8-foot to 10-foot tall ledge. Because the island of Tenerife is so steep, there are tons of these steps all over the island, constructed hundreds and hundreds of years ago. The sheep and the goats can jump it with no problem, so to keep up, shepherds like Manuel have to use their spears to jump from step to step. It was a clear, warm day when Manuel was met by 8 American students. One of the students, in broken Spanish, asked for directions. Manuel knew exactly where Playa de Ancon was. He also knew that giving directions in an unfamiliar language was sure to lead us astray. He tried to patiently, slowly explain as best he could how to get to the beach. And he waved goodbye. He hoped those American students made it. After a long day working in the field, Manuel was walking back a familiar hiking trail when he passed those 8 American students on the trail. Manuel was sincerely happy that they had found the beach, and he noticed them following him. He didn't say anything though because he was accustomed to being followed by a herd. After about 20 minutes, one of the students ran to catch up with Manuel. She admitted that they had been following him. He laughed and he said, "Yes, I know. Follow me and my 3 friends will take you to the bus stop." Loud, high-pitched laughter and English voices rang out in the night behind him. He dropped the students off at the bus station, bidding goodbye and going to the local bar with his friends. A few minutes later, he noticed an unusually full table in the usually empty bar. It was the 8 American students. Looks like they took his advice and decided to eat before the bus came. He noticed the students were in better spirits now that they had eaten. Manuel watched as the students finished up their meal and headed back to the bus stop. Years of experience have taught him never leave a herd alone in the open. So as not to frighten the young American lambs, he continues watching from a distance. The bus, he realizes, will not come tonight. Cautiously and with all the gentleness of a grandfather, he pulls up in a blue van like the shepherd he is. He tells the group that the bus will not come, but before they panic and scatter, he offers to give them a ride. They're a bit skittish, a bit skeptical, but they sense no other alternative, so they pile into his van. Manuel attempts to calm this strange herd by playing music on the radio. He follows my instructions and drives back to our Airbnb. As we climb out of the car, I try to pay him, but he refuses. I don't know what his last name is, I don't know exactly where he lives, and I don't know if I'll ever see him again. But I'll never forget the day I met Manuel the Jumping Shepherd. And that was our first day in Tenerife. Yeah, you thought I was done, didn't you? That was a pretty good story, but no, that was just the first day. The next couple days in Tenerife weren't as exciting as that first day, but it was still pretty cool. In Tenerife, I got these 2 leaves. This one was a lot bigger and flatter, but it's starting to dry up. So now I've got my French branch and my Tenerife leafes. I also got this rock. It's a volcanic rock. Like I said earlier, the black sand beaches are because it's volcanic sand. Well, this is an igneous rock. You can kind of tell it looks like lava that hardened. On the second day, we went to go see the dragon tree. The dragon tree is 1,000 years old. There's actually a whole theme park built around it. Before buying tickets to go into the theme park, we went to a bakery, at least what we thought was a bakery. We just saw the word curry, and like part of it was cut off by a building that was in front of it. As we got closer to the shop, we realized it said Le Curry. We got bocadillos, which are like sandwiches, and we went into the Dragon Tree Park. There were these caves there, and one of the caves had a mummy in it. It was funny, Emily went to go ask a lady in there to take a picture of us, and she said, "Por favor, puede sacar una foto de nosotros?" And she was like, "I don't understand," in English. She spoke English, we spoke English. It was a funny moment. Again, there were a lot of lizards sunning themselves on the rocks. There was this certain duck in the park that was posing for pictures. I kid you not, the duck stopped what it was doing, looked at us with our phones out, and was like, "Get my good side." Quack, quack. Quack, 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 quack. It was pretty hilarious. Then Max went into a pearl shop to try to shop for some jewelry for his girlfriend. Me personally, I'm not big into jewelry. I only hold on to jewelry that has a sentimental value for me. Like there's this necklace with beads on it that my sister Raya made for me. Or there's this one bracelet that I have from a friend still. Anyways, after shopping around, we ran for the bus stop. We missed the bus, but that's okay because buses come like every 20 minutes. We went to one beach called Playa de Socorro and it was closed. We hiked all the way back up and went to a different beach, Playa del Jardín, which was open. It was called Playa del Jardín because Jardín means garden. And it wasn't a garden of plants, rather it was a garden of rocks. I don't know who, but somebody had stacked up rocks just in a field. It was pretty incredible. If someone was really mean, they could just run through and knock all the rocks off. But of course you wouldn't do that to the rock garden. There were these huge waves crashing. The people on the beach weren't allowed to go in the water because the riptide was really strong, but we were still able to lay in the sand and I made a sand sculpture. I'm kind of weird. Some people like long walks on the beach, like that's romantic. I'm more like a sand castles on the beach kind of person, and I don't even make sand castles. Usually I make faces in the sand. That night, when half of the students were in bed, half of the students were still awake, and I was one of them. We played a game called Farkle, which if you don't know what that is, it's where you take 6 dice, roll the 6 dice, and if you get a 1 or a 5, that's points. Or if you get triplets of anything, like triple 6s is 600, triple 3s is 300. Sorry? Oh, you're right. Now that I'm in a new room, the cleaning lady comes on Tuesdays, but I just realized it's almost 4:30 and we gotta leave for religion class. So we'll see you in a minute, going to religion class. Ugh, just got back from religion class. I forgot to show you, I drew on my bag. Can you see that? I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. I was going for a Hawaiian flower theme. Where was I? Oh yeah, Farkle. So if you roll a bunch of numbers and none of them are triples and none of them is a 1 or a 5, that's a Farkle and you lose all your points. It was a fun game, and afterwards we just did things that super tired people do. We talked about some pretty random stuff, like I told him how to pronounce the alphabet. Abkideftijikomanob Thank you, Big Bird. And then Emily braided my hair for the next day. On day 3, we went to Playa Maria Jimenez. It was another black sand beach. Anu, who lives by the beach, you know, she's from Hawaii, she taught me how to make sand chairs. You just dig out a hole in the sand and sit in it. Anu and Jamie decided they wanted to go to the south of the island to see some gold sand beaches, while we all stayed up in the north. And Riley just wanted to go back to the Airbnb and relax. So me, Nicole, Maddie, Emily, Simon, and Max all decided to set out for the same beach we went to the first day. We had a group lunch and then we took a taxi down to the beach. It didn't go all the way down to the beach, there was still like a good half-hour hike, but it was nothing compared to that first day. The thing we didn't realize is that it was high tide, so we weren't able to go down on the sand. But the ocean was still pretty. We then went to a place called Playa Martianes. There were people in the water at that beach, but the only people who were authorized to swim there were people with surfboards. So we just kind of stuck our toes in the water. That's where I found that rock that I showed you earlier. There was this cute little old lady on the beach and she came up to me and she was like, "Tell your friend, be careful, don't get sucked in by the water." Because Nicole was trying to like rinse herself off the sand. And I was like, "Don't worry, we're under control, it's fine." We had a great time at the beach. We took the bus home, got some ice cream. It was at this point that I realized I needed to print out a boarding pass in order to get on the plane tomorrow morning, which would be Sunday morning. I walked down the street from the Airbnb and there was some print shops, but they were closed. I was like, I'm gonna have to pay for the ticket and that's extra. And Anna was still getting back from the south, and so she needed me to print out her boarding pass too. So that was a little stressful, but luckily there was this really nice guy named Rafa that was watering his flowers outside the closed coffee shops. And he saw me and he was like, do you need help? And I was like, yeah, I need to print something out. And he's like, oh, go to the store right down the street. That guy will help you. And I was like, thank you. So I went down the street to this place that was like 7-Eleven. It was selling like candy, chips, random artifacts. I don't know what I meant by artifacts. Like he was selling regular 7-Eleven stuff. He also had a computer and a printer. So I just handed over the flash drive and it was easy peasy lemon squeezy. When life gives you lemons, it's gonna be okay. If you're watching this and have never heard the song Lemonade by Alex Boy, look it up, it's a good song. After I printed out our tickets, I went back to the Airbnb and the students and I went out and got some pizza. On the way there though, I twisted my ankle. It's a lot better now, it was just really sore for a few days. I calculated the cost just because I was curious. The whole entire trip, everything, taxis, buses, food, airplane ticket, Airbnb, everything all combined together was like $250. Pretty good deal for an island adventure. So that was Tenerife. That's all for this week. Ciao for now!